guys, today we're going to start target 7b, and target 7b is all about what we call the remainder theorem. And so today we're really going to look at division with polynomials, because when you divide, that's when you get a remainder, okay? So we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at long division, and we're going to look at what we call synthetic division. So first we're going to kind of review what long division is. If you remember, you probably learned long division in elementary school, middle school, with just regular numbers. There are 4 steps to long division. First step is to divide. The second step is to multiply. The third step is to subtract. And the fourth step is bring down. BMSE. So I'm going to start by setting up our division. We're dividing 3,453 by 13. So 3,453 divided by 13. So our first thing is to divide, right? We always start at the beginning. So I'm going to see, can I divide 13 into 3? Well, 13 is bigger than 3. So 13 doesn't go into 3. So then I move to my next digit. Does 13 go into 34? Right? And it does go into 34. Right? So does 13 go into 34? Not evenly, but it will fit in. Right? So I go 13, then 26. My next one would be 39. So if I have 3 13s, that's too big. So at most I can do 2. So 34 divided by 13 is 2, and you would have some left over. So that's our division step. Then we have our multiply step. 2 times 13 is 26. Now we have our subtraction step. I'm going to subtract 26 from 34. 34 minus 26, we get 8. And then our last step is to bring down. So I'm bringing down that 5, and I'm bringing down that 3. Then we just repeat our steps. I did bring down, now I have to go back to number 1. Now I have to go back to divide. So does 13 go into 8? No, 13 is bigger than 8. So we're going to look at 13 going into 85. I believe it's 6 times. And you can kind of use a calculator. Whatever, if you do like 85 divided by 13 and get a decimal, whatever number is before your decimal, right, that's what number will go on top, whatever that integer is. And then 6 times 13, you get 78, right? So that's our multiplication step. 6 times 13 is 78. Then we have our subtraction step. And we get 7. Right, 85 minus 78 is 7. And then I have to bring down 3. Then I have to go back to my division step. So how many times does 13 go into 73? 13 times 73, or 13, I believe it's 5, right? Because 6 will get us to 78, so we can't do that. So 5 times 13, right? Then our multiplication step, we get 65. Then our subtraction step, and we are left with 8. Okay? Now, 13 does not go into 8, so if it no longer goes in, we're done. So then all I'm going to do is with this, we're going to write this as a fraction. It's really 265 and 8 13ths coming from that 13. So 265 and 8 13ths. So that's basic long division. We're going to follow these exact same 4 steps for polynomial long division. Okay? The first thing we want to make sure is we don't need any placeholder. So if I look at my first polynomial, 2x squared plus 3x minus 35, we want to make sure my exponents are going down by 1 each time. So that is squared, so this should be 1, and then after 1 comes 0, so no variable. So that looks good. So that's what's going to be underneath. 2x squared plus 3x minus 35. Then on the outside, I'm going to have what I'm dividing by. X plus 5. So, when we start, just like how we started looking at just the first digit with polynomial long division, I'm going to look at just the first term. So I'm going to look at 2x squared. I'm actually going to look at the first term here too, x. So, dividing 2x squared by x, right, I'll get 2, and then one of my x's will cancel out. So I'm only going to have 2x. Since it's 2x, I'm going to put it over. We're going to line everything up nicely. We're going to line it up over the x there. Next, we have our multiply step. I need to multiply this 2x by this whole expression here. So I have to distribute. 2x squared times x is 2x squared. 2x times 5 is plus 10x. Okay. Then my subtraction step. I have to subtract this whole thing. Okay. So I'm just going to distribute that negative in. So it's going to be negative 2x squared and negative 10x. So 2x squared and negative 2x squared, those cancel out to 0. 3x and negative 10x, I get negative 7x. And then my last step is that bring down. Minus 35. Okay, now going back to the same thing. I only look at my first term, so x and negative 7x. So negative 7x divided by x. My x's cancel out. I'm left with negative 7. Now I have to do my multiplication step. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. Then I have to subtract, again, distributing that negative. So then my negative 7x becomes positive, and my negative 35 becomes plus. Okay. Negative 7x plus 7x is 0. Negative 35 plus 35 is 0. So that's my remainder. When it's a remainder of 0, I don't have to worry about adding anything on the end like we did before. So it's just 2x minus 7. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at example 3. Example 3 says divide by using long division. One thing to note with example 3 is, you look, it's 3x cubed plus 0x plus 5. Again, we have to go down by exponents. So 3x cubed, between 3x cubed and x, we're missing an x squared. So even though there's none there, we still have to put a placeholder. Technically, there's 0x squared. Then we can put that x. So plus, and if it helps, you can put 1x, and then plus 5, right? And that's what's under my house, right? And outside is x plus 1. So again, we start with our first step of dividing. And for dividing, we divide only our first terms. So 3x cubed divided by x. And you get 3x squared. So I'm going to put it under the x squared. Then I multiply and I have to distribute. So 3x cubed plus 3x squared. Right. Then I'm subtracting this. So I'm going to distribute that negative. So it's negative 3x cubed and negative 3x squared. Cancels out. 0 minus 3x squared is negative 3x squared. And then I have to bring down the 1x and the 5. So plus x plus 5. Now divide again. So dividing x and negative 3x squared. Negative 3x squared divided by x, I get negative 3x, because one of my x's go away. Then my multiplication step, negative 3x times x is negative 3x. Negative 3x times, negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 1 is negative 3x. And again, I'm subtracting. Distribute that negative. So plus 3x squared plus 3x. Negative 3x squared plus 3x squared cancels. X plus 3x is 4x plus 5. And then again, dividing 4x by x. 4x divided by x, I get plus 4. Multiplying 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 1 is plus 4. I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to distribute that negative, so it's negative 4x and negative 4. And 4x minus 4x cancels out. 5 minus 4 is 1. So with this remainder, I then add 1 over what I divided by, so 1 over x plus 1. And that is my answer. Alright, that's it for long division. Go ahead and turn the page. The next thing we're going to look at is synthetic division. Synthetic division is a shortcut. Synthetic division is a procedure to divide a polynomial by divisor of the form x minus k, using the coefficients of the divisor. The divisor must have a leading coefficient of 1. This is the biggest thing, okay? If it's not x minus, it's like 2x or 3x or 4x, anything. You cannot use synthetic division, you have to use long division. So synthetic division is a shortcut, but it only works some of the time. Okay? So, step 1, right, we're going to divide using synthetic division. Step 1 is rewrite the terms of the dividend, that's this part, so that degrees of terms are in descending order. That's what we've already done. So I have 5x to the 4th. We're missing an x cubed, so plus 0x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to take the coefficients of these. So 5, 0, negative 4, 1, and 6. I'm going to write those out. 5, 0, negative 4, 1, 6. Don't care about the variables, just the coefficients. And I'm going to put them in this little box that looks like this. Then I'm going to take my divisor, x minus 3, which means x equals 3. You have to change the sign. It's minus 3, so it's just 3. That goes on the outside in its own little box. Then what you do, right, I'm going to bring down the first coefficient, so I'm going to bring down that 5. And then I'm just going to multiply times 3 from here, right? 5 times 3 is 15. Okay. Then I'm going to add. 0 plus 15 is 15. Then I'm going to repeat. I'm going to multiply by 3. 15 by 3 is 45. Then I'm going to add. I get 41. Then I'm going to multiply. 3 times 41 is 123. Then I'm going to add. I get 124. Then I'm going to multiply. 3 times 124 is 372. Then I'm going to add. 378. I'm going to put a box around my last number. Okay. Then our last step is simply to take these numbers. These are now my new coefficients. Your new coefficients are going to start with 1 degree less. Okay, so this started with an x to the 4th. That means my answer is going to start with an x cubed. then in my box is my remainder, so that's the part that is the fraction. 378 over x minus 3. And that's it. That's your answer for that one. Alright, moving on to example 5. Same type of thing. So if you look, I'm going to look quickly, not missing any variables, so I can just start by writing it right with the coefficients. So I have 3, 2, -4, 1. Draw my nice box. I have to change sign, so it's going to be -3 on the outside. Draw my nice box. Then, start just by bringing down, that's 3. -3 times 3 is -9. 2 plus -9 is -7. -3 times -7, that's 21. -4 plus 21, that's 17. -3 times 17, that's -51. 1 plus -51, that's -60. Okay? So this one goes real fast once you get good at the procedure. And again, all it is practice. So then again, my final step is, I started with a cube, so here I'm going to start with a square. And then I'm going to write this as a fraction, -50 over x plus 3. There's my answer. Okay? So synthetic goes a lot faster, but it does take practice. Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.